From Kern Government Television, welcome to this week's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting. Originating from the Kern County Administrative Center, located at 1115 Truxtun Avenue in Bakersfield, California. Grounded in ideas, energy, and innovation, Kern County's vision is to be a driving force for the world's fifth largest economy, and our mission is to exceed expectations of the communities we serve, changing the way they feel about government, those who manage it, and the services it provides. Today's Board of Supervisors meeting will convene momentarily.
Okay, the meeting is adjourned. Welcome back to Kern County Board of Supervisors, November 4, Tuesday, general meeting, 2 p.m. We're going to begin with a roll call. Madam Clerk?
Supervisor Peters?
Here.
Supervisor Parlier?
Here.
Supervisor Flores?
Here.
Supervisor Couch?
Here.
Supervisor Perez?
Here, thank you. We're going to move to report on actions taken in closed session. Ms. Graham?
Yes. Good afternoon. This morning, following your board's AM meeting, your board met in closed session on items 49 and 50, and there were no reportable actions taken.
Thank you so very much. We're going to move to our consent agenda. And consent matters are listed with the capital C, capital A. There are agendas at the back of the room if you wish to follow along with the paper version. I'm going to read the consent agenda. They are matters that are considered routine and non-controversial by staff, and we usually handle them in one motion. But if a member of the public feels otherwise, we want to hear from you and address your issues in real time as to the consent agenda. I do want to indicate for the record, I will be pulling items 36O and P. They will not be handled today. Consent matters begin on page 2, and they include items 3 through 6. On page 3, items 7 through 10, and on item 8N, we will be removing 8N for revised fiscal impact of $389,971.66. That's as to item 8N. So on page 3, all items listed 7 through 10. On page 4, items 11 through 17, as well as 19 through 20. On page 5, all items listed 21 through 25. On page 6, all items listed 26 through 33. And on page 7, all items listed 34 through 37. Again, items 36O and P removed, not to be addressed today. Are there any members of the public who would like to address a matter on consent? If so, now would be the time to come to the podium and to inform this body about your concerns, your thoughts on a matter as just read on consent. Good afternoon and welcome. Please state and spell your name for the record.
Spell it too?
Please.
All right. Good afternoon, board. David Fluhart, D-A-V-I-D-F-L-U-H-A-R-T.
It's been a while, David. Good to see you.
I'd like to pull 8H.
8H. Can you tell me what your concerns are, David?
First of all, I'd like to ask for a continuance. My mother, who's the trustee of the family trust, couldn't be here. Second of all, I think we need to consult an attorney, maybe even hire one. There's a short notice of the hearing. I think we got the notice on Wednesday of last week, and to arrange a couple of the witnesses that can attest to some of the things we want to debate about. They couldn't be here. And lastly, continued research into the improper case process. That's on the, can we continue it later portion of it. And then in defense, basically the property wasn't released from an arson investigation. So
Okay.
we were waiting for that to come through, and it just happened.
Understood. Okay, I haven't seen Mr. Florida in some time, but in all of my experience with him, he is a good faith player, does not misrepresent facts before this body. So are there, I would be open if my colleagues are okay with withdrawing this item and letting it come back at a later time, unless that's a problem.
I have a question.
Supervisor Couch?
You said it's 8H. I don't see an H under item 8.
On the
On the agenda, I don't see it.
Well, I don't think it's listed on the consent agenda. It would be like a detailed
Oh,
list.
it's H among an entire list of, thank you.
Yeah, it's a new process. Usually they got each individual case as its own CA, but we're wrapping them all together and running
Okay.
them through.
So can I ask the staff if you don't want to pull the entire item, you want to pull one
H.
item from
Yes,
item
H from 8, which is our family property.
I see Supervisor Peters, did you punch in? Or,
I was just going to suggest maybe we could ask Director Champlin to provide some comments, see if that would be an issue.
Thank you,
to bring
Supervisor
this back
Peters.
at another time.
that just makes too much sense, thank you.
Yeah, you would.
Supervisor Peters, through the chair, Joshua Champlin, your Public Works Director. This item, just for clarification, this list of projects is for your board to recognize costs that the department incurred for abatement of violations, the code violations. And so that's why we bring them in a list for you. Mr. Fluhart is one item of many on that list. And we're willing to speak with Mr. Fluhart about this. This is a cost recovery for money spent by the county.
Okay.
So if it's your board's decision, we would remove that item as well from the consent calendar today, and then we'll work with him and possibly bring it back forward at a later
Perfect.
date to stand on its own.
I appreciate that so much. That would be my inclination. Gentlemen, are you, Peters, is that okay? Supervisor Couch, you commented, okay. Champlin, thank you so much.
I do have a clarification for the clerk. If we were to remove that, should we give you a new dollar amount to state here? Okay. I think I'm going to have Al Rojas. He's done the math, so he was going to propose the new
I appreciate
dollar amount
that.
for the fiscal impact.
I appreciate that very much. My apologies.
Thank you. We would be removing items 8N, 8I, and 8H with a revised fiscal impact of $352,735.66.
Thank you so much, Al. I appreciate you.
welcome.
Thank you so much for that. Mr. Fluhart, you'll be working with that department, and we'll see you at a later time, hopefully under better circumstances.
Yes, thank you,
Okay.
and have a good day.
Nice to see you, sir. Okay, with that revision, we'll move forward on the consent agenda. Are there any other members of the public who have an issue they need to address? Okay, we're going to close the public hearing and return to my colleagues for action.
Motion on consent.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion on consent with revisions and a second. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Thank you. We're going to move forward to public presentations. This portion of the agenda is reserved for members of the public who would like to talk to this board about matters that are within our jurisdiction, the Kern County Board of Supervisors, but are not on today's specific agenda. So I would ask at this time, please make your way forward to the podium, state and spell your name. We ask to stay within 2 minutes. Okay. Looks like we do not have public presentation interest at this time. We're going to move on to board member announcements and reports. Colleagues?
I have one.
Supervisor Couch.
I'd like to make a referral, and I also noticed that our Assembly Member Stan Ellis is in the audience, so I want to invite him down to make any comments that he'd like to add. He and two colleagues of his recently wrote a white paper that was entitled California Energy and Fuel Policies, a Clear and Present Threat to National Security and Force Readiness, and that ends with a question mark. So I have a cover memo here to that white paper and also a couple of news articles that were written about the paper that these gentlemen wrote. The paper concludes that it is time for presidential intervention and national oversight to mitigate the actions of California and protect the national security interests of the U.S. as related to California's petroleum and refining assets. So the referral that I'm making, and if I need to make it in the form of a motion, let me know, requests that letters of support for the findings and the recommendations in the white paper be sent to the President, our congressional representatives in the House and the Senate, the Governor, and our state representatives. And I'll add, if our current legislative platform doesn't support this request, then I'd like to ask for those letters to be drafted and brought back to the board at your earliest convenience. So I'll give this to the clerk.
Thank you. We don't get to see our assemblyman
No, we don't.
every day in our Board of Supervisors chambers, so I want to embarrass him a little bit before we get to the heavy stuff. And you know, Stan Ellis is a stunningly successful individual, and he is generous and kind beyond my comprehension, frankly, because you just are so much more than most people I know in your position. I'll leave it at that. And just as recently as Friday, I reached out to Stan. I said, Stan, there's these women in my district that are working to address the issues of trauma related to violence, gang violence. And I said, before I could even finish, he says, the check will be ready by noon. Not to me, of course, to the organization, but that is the spirit of Stan Ellis. He rarely gets recognized for such things because he doesn't like recognition, and I know he's not going to be happy with me now. But I just want to say, Stan, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for who you are, your heart, for what you do for Kern County. I know you're going to get into some heavier stuff now, so I preferred to say that before and make you blush just a little, hopefully. Welcome, and thank you for being here.
Madam Chairman, thank you. Thanks for the nice words. Assembly members, thank you, and thank you, Assembly Member, Supervisor Couch. I'm used to addressing the Assembly.
Soon enough.
Yeah, so anyway, real quick history. About a month ago, my district director, Cody Criswell, and myself had been working on how do we get Valero in the Benicia Bay Area to sustain. And we find out that they're supplying Travis Air Force Base with 100% of their jet fuel. Then we're on the way out to China Lake, and we're talking with the China Lake folks, and we're finding out that they're getting 100% of their fuel, diesel, gas, jet fuel from California refineries. And then we reached out to Mish, who is a USC professor. He had done some op-eds on flow rates in the pipelines and what this diminishing oil and gas supply is going to do to our state. And then we did our research, and actually Cody did a 74-page report that showed that there are 50-some military bases in California, 3 in Nevada, and 10 in Arizona. They're cumulative 50, which have about 270,000 personnel that support each one of those bases. And they're getting their fuel and jet fuel from California refineries. So then we did some further research with the military, and we find out that preparedness, if we're getting right now 1 million barrels a day imported into California. We're getting 20% of our jet fuel and gas and diesel from India is imported into California, of which India, 40% of their crude comes from Russia. So you start adding all of these factors and you figure out preparedness. This is a matter of national security. Fortunately, the Pentagon has a copy of this report, and several congressmen were hoping to build some momentum with this by having you guys write a letter, as Supervisor Couch stated, to show it's serious, serious business. We're figured out that potentially we could be out of jet fuel in 3 days, and we would have to fly in our jet fuel. So it's very serious. So we're hoping that we're going to get some innovation. Hopefully Governor Newsom has seen this. Hopefully the president will get it. There are some solutions. The solutions are simply get rid of some of the regulation through federalizing oil and gas, if we can do that, and we can empower the other areas in the state to produce diesel, and we can get some of the air regs off of our refineries. Guess what? We win. But it's going to take some serious intervention, and we wanted to bring attention to that. And I appreciate you having me in today to deliver that message. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any questions?
Supervisor Peters?
I just want to say thank you to Assemblyman Ellis. This is extremely important, and appreciate all your hard work on this and every other issue that we're dealing with. Supervisor Parley and myself went back to DC a while back and met with several different members of Congress. and the Department of Energy related to some similar conversations. Then I made a referral a while back as well to the CAO's office, and I think they're planning on bringing that forward soon to declare Kern County in particular a natural resource development zone to reaffirm strategic importance of these resources to America's future and to foster investment and create family-sustaining jobs and ensure economic growth. So I think bringing that letter back to the board to be sent to President Trump as well in conjunction with this letter would just help strengthen that argument. And I just wanted to note that, and I appreciate all your help and your efforts on this.
Thanks, Supervisor.
Thank you, Supervisor
guys.
Peters.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Any further comment? Okay, you have a motion, Supervisor Couch?
Do we need it as in the form of a motion? Okay, I'll move my recommendation that is in the memo, which, by the way, should be in the CAO's inbox and the County Council's inbox and the Clerk of the Board's inbox. Thank you.
Do we have a second? Second?
I need a second.
Second.
Thank you, Supervisor Parlier. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Okay. Seeing no other board member announcements or reports, we'll move to the regular agendized matter, which is one this afternoon. It should be a little shorter than this morning. Hint, hint, Elsa. Just kidding. Okay. Under our County Administrative Office, Elsa Martinez has a PowerPoint presentation and an update on Americans with Disabilities Act and self-assessment and transition plan. Elsa, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. So on June 30, 1992, your board adopted a resolution to ensure county compliance with the Americans with Disability Act, or ADA. The ADA provides comprehensive and far-reaching rights and protections for individuals with disabilities across several areas. Employment under Title I, state and local government under Title II, places of public accommodation under Title III, telecommunications under Title IV, and miscellaneous provisions under Title V. Today's presentation will address only Title II, which applies to all activities of local governments, regardless of size or receipt of federal funding. Title II requires that people with disabilities have equal opportunity to benefit for all government programs, services, and activities. So to meet these obligations, public agencies must provide access even in older, previously inaccessible facilities, communicate effectively with individuals who have hearing, vision, or speech disabilities, and make reasonable modifications to policies, practices, and procedures to avoid discrimination. As part of these responsibilities, the county is required to regularly assess its facilities, programs, and practices, and maintain a transition plan that identifies and addresses barriers to accessibility. This plan covers county facilities and parks, public rights-of-way such as roads and sidewalks, and policies and practices that affect public access. And this plan has to include two major components: an assessment that provides a snapshot of our current state of accessibility, and a transition plan that identifies necessary improvements, includes cost estimates, and prioritized implementation. But more importantly, the ADA mandates public input as part of developing of this plan, and that is the reason we're here today. So to fulfill the requirements, the County Administrative Office contracted with Bureau Veritas Technical Assessment in August of 2024 to conduct the ADA assessment. The ADA assessment began in October 24, and today they have reviewed 299 county buildings and parks, and they have, and this includes leased and owned facilities. And they as well have reviewed over 1,000 miles of county roads and sidewalks. So to ensure meaningful community engagement, we released a public survey on October 9 and have posted the draft transition plan on the county administrative website. This document is a draft and will continue to be refined based on feedback. A final draft will be presented to your board for consideration at a later date. The ADA transition plan is intended to be a living document, and it will be updated as we receive more information and as needs are identified. So we strongly encourage members of the public and county staff to review the draft plan and provide input through the accessibility survey. The feedback is essential to ensure that the county's programs, services, and facilities are accessible to all members of our community. I would like to thank Eric Nisbet from our staff and all county departments for their work in bringing us to this stage in a very complex and time-intensive project. This concludes my prepared remarks, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Are there members of the public who would like to provide comment or weigh in on this matter? Oh, please. Please come down and provide your comment, question, or thoughts. Is there anyone else here today to speak on this matter? Okay. Welcome. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please state and spell your name for the record.
Abel, A-B-E-L. My question or comment is...
What's your last name, Ian?
Rubio, R-U-B-I-O.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rubio.
My question or comment is this set to come in between this year or the following year that's abrupt, or is it in later times as...
Great question. Okay, thank you. I'll ask staff to.
Oh, and how much would this come out for the taxpayers to pay? As this is a lot of roads that we will be covering, and Bakersfield is getting constantly more expensive for low-income houses that are here. Just simple, I know many stores and many places don't have accessibility, stuff like this, but we still need to remember that people are suffering from this current economic state, and how much will this affect us as citizens of Bakersfield and people who love and cherish this town who've been here all their life? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rubio. Thank you so much. Would you care to, or could you respond to those concerns?
Absolutely, Madam Chair. Just to clarify, this plan only covers the areas that the county is responsible for. Every governmental agency has to prepare their own plan. So the city of Bakersfield, every city in the county. It is expensive. I look at the draft document, and I can tell you the price tag is shocking. It doesn't mean that the county has to address every single item in 1 year. This is a living document. We have to make progress. There's not mandate to have sidewalks, but there's a mandate that if we have them, they have to be accessible. So we're working on the draft document. We anticipate that the final draft will come to your board by the end of December this year. And then we'll begin our planning process with budget development, what things that we can address. Accessibility and private stores are the responsibility. Every entity has a responsibility, and those fall under the private entity, and the federal government regulates that. But this is limited to county facilities and county roads.
Got it. This is not an imposition on private business owners or individual residents like Mr. Rubio, but this is what the government is required to do as we can afford to do it. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you for your questions, Mr. Rubio. Any other interests, input from the public? Okay. Is this a receive and file? Okay, excellent. Colleagues, I don't know if you have questions, concerns, input. If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion to receive and file. Thank you for your work on this. Thank you for your presentation. We have a motion, a second. Please cast your votes. Thank you. Okay, well, this brings us to the end of our afternoon agenda. It was shorter than this morning, but we will return in 2 weeks for our next board session. Next Tuesday, we will not be here, but the following Tuesday, which is the 18th of November, we will return for our regularly scheduled meeting. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you so much, Supervisor Flores and Couch. We are adjourned.